Okay, friends, we have actually arrived to the final lecture of this seminar of the weight connection seminar. This is the final lecture, and we're hoping to give you an entire picture put together. Okay. In order to do that, I'm actually going to go off the frame here because I need to bring these things, these two plates here. All right. I'm going to leave it here on the ground, and during this lecture, I'll get to them. But if I see them, I'll remember. Okay? Now, this is our final presentation for available information for the general public. Okay? It's not to be taken for your individual case. You might be on medication. You might have other issues that we're not even aware of, and I have to be very, very careful. There's some people that send me messages through Facebook, and they say, my father has a kidney function of 25%. What should I do? They send it through Facebook Messenger. So that's where my wife answers those Facebook ones and said, Oscar attends consultations at the Melbourne clinic in such and such days. Alternatively, if you're not near the clinic, you can book an appointment online. Because it's not fair for the person, because how much can you fix a 25% functioning kidney with a message through Messenger in Facebook? Okay, it's not fair for the patient. It's not fair for the field of nutrition. Okay, that is downplaying it. It's not fair for me because I am ignoring a number of things. I'm ignoring the medication that the person is on. I'm ignoring the I'm ignoring his doctor. I'm ignoring where he's at, I'm ignoring everyone, and then I prescribe something, that person gets in trouble, and then they get that message from Facebook and say, look who sent it to me. And that goes my license, that goes my practitioner number, my registration, and my liability insurance will pay them the trip to the Bahamas. Okay? So it's not fair for that. There's a number of reasons for that. So there is other things. And of course, there's always Google. There's always Google, you can just go to Google. You type, my father has 25% of kidney function. Google it, okay? But my name is not Dr. Google, my name is Oscar, so we work in different rounds here, okay? Now, which one of those two plates contains more food? The one on the right or the one on the left? They actually contain the same amount. Now, obviously, they are not the same, I don't know what that is. That would be like a chicken breast. It's not the same one, but it's actually the same amount. They weighted it. They put the same amount of rice. They put the same amount of spinach. They put the same amount of rice. It's actually the same. Which one looks full? The smaller looks full. Yes, it does. Okay, these are the ones that I've been able to grab here at the university. We'll say, imagine that this is a flat plate, okay? It's not, it has a little bit of a depth to it. But this will be the size of your dinner table, right? Or your dinner plate, sorry. That will be your dinner plate size, all right? And if you just don't look at the depth of it, but just the size, that will be the side plate that you use for your bread, right? You use for all that type of stuff. Bread or your dessert, you'll put it in here and things like that. Now, believe it or not, in the Anglo-Saxon world, from 1960, the size of the dinner plate has gone from this size to this size. That size at the table was only for festivities and weddings. This was the everyday size of dinner table, or the dinner plate. Sorry, the dinner plate. This was the size. So just look at the actual circle, okay? Don't look at the fact that it has a little bit of a depth to it. So the size of it was that one rather than this one. Do you think, it's just a hypothetical question, do you think that the increase in the size of the plate from 1960 to the 2016 plus has anything to do with weight gain in society. The plate has gone bigger and we have gone bigger. Okay? Now, imagine, I'll just put that on the side for now. This is a breakfast cereal, and I just go and I fill it up with cornflakes and milk and just eat it. And I feel hungry, and I fill it up again and eat it. And then I check how much is per portion. Some people leave the house with 3 breakfasts in their stomach. They just ate 3 portions of breakfast in the stomach. Okay? Now, when I eat, and you know, I like potlucks. I like to observe people. There are people that are builders. How many here have heard of the Tower of Babel? There is a way of doing it. You know, you need to make sure that foremost, the rice, the pasta, and the potato are at the base, because they need to hold all the weight. So you put it in you start putting it around there. It's a good foundation. Lots of rice, pasta, potato. And then you start building up like that, like that, like that. Okay? And if you started at the right base, it will hold it. Now you eat that much, you're telling your body, for sure, Third World War tomorrow. He is not going to eat anymore until the end of times. He's going to keep it up, mate. And he's giving us plenty of signals. Just not just the size, but now what? All the insulin that comes through it, whoa, signaling, store it, store it, store it. Look at the size. Look at my signal, store it, man. Because the end of the world is coming and we don't know when we're going to eat next. But the problem is that you eat the next meal. And the system goes, miscalculation, just for a few hours. He's very sure of that because he has just gave us the same amount. So it must be tomorrow. And we're gaining and gaining and gaining. Okay. Now, as a rule of thumb, this is a rule of thumb, okay? Oops. With this size, you divide this plate in half. And then one of the halves in half again. So half and half. So you end up with 1/2 and 2/4. Okay? 1/2 and 2/4. One of the halves is any vegetable that you can imagine, whatever you like, whatever is your fancy. Recently, I was invited at a center, and they had a whole number of patients there lining up for me. And there was a lady that said, okay, there's no point for me to write for you the protocol and put a number of vegetables that you don't like. So tell me which vegetables you don't like, and I won't include it in the protocol. And she goes, I think it's going to be easier for me if I tell you which ones I like. I said, okay, no worries. So which ones you like? Green peas? I said, yeah, that'll do. Green peas and carrots. Yep. What else? Did you notice that she said, and carrots? You put the and when it's the last item, just before the last item. 2 peas and carrots. That was it. She did not like anything else. So what do you think she was feeding herself with? Muffins, pasta, potato, all the yummy things. So I said, you're going to fill up half of your plate. I'm not saying half of your plate. Why? Because she needs to lose weight. There is here a number of young people operating the cameras. They haven't turned 40. They're full of energy. They don't need this one. Okay? When they turn 40, they'll need that one. Okay? Your teenage son doesn't need this one. I've got at 16 years old in the house. You know what they say that the parents leave for the children? How true that is when they turn 16 and they're males? It's amazing the amount of food that guy eats. He's ruining me. You know, he's like, I can wash my face in the type of bowls that he used for his breakfast. It's just unbelievable. He said, what is the context that we are talking about here? Weight management and weight loss. That's the context that we're doing. Now, so I said, okay, half of it, peas and carrots. The other half, he said, oh, you're going to take my potatoes away. I said, no. You're going to take my bread away. No. What are you going to take away? I'm not going to take anything away. I'm just going to put it in the right place. So you're going to get your bread, and that quarter is for your bread. Now, how many slices of bread enter into that quarter? Yeah. It's just a quarter of a slice of bread. Why am I not going to take it? Because if I take it away, how long is she going to last in that protocol? 2 weeks max. She'll go back worse. I cannot take it away because it's too impossible for her. She's not reachable. The moment I said, yeah, you can have baby potatoes, you can have the potatoes here, about 2 inches high. I know what she was going to do with the potatoes. She was going to make sure she's going to learn packing. She's going to learn the packing of potatoes in 2 inches, that. All right, that's it. And then you have your protein here, So for vegetarians, that's your tofu. And your legumes too. Why? Despite the fact that, yes, they are carbohydrates, they do contain good proteins. And when you mix it, for instance, with the protein that is in your rice, you have a complete protein. But the idea is that now you have half of that plate as vegetables. It's not like rice and legumes and a little bit of vegetables on top. Can you see the difference? Can you actually see the difference? Okay, so you got a half and a quarter. So a quarter will be your starch, your starchy things, your rice, your bread, etc. And here you will be your protein sources. In the other quarter will be your protein sources. And in those protein sources also includes the legumes because they are seated in that amount. If you're a person that eat meat, we're looking at here at a stack of cars. That's as much as we're looking at here, a stack of cars. Now, let me just put something in context here. What has more protein? This is just to give you a little bit of a context here. What has more protein, an egg or a steak? Steak has more protein. Now, careful with this. How much of that protein is bioavailable or I can utilize? A chunk is out of the picture because I cannot absorb it. So only a little, so a much reduced amount I can actually utilize. Everything else becomes protein residue. Now, the egg has less protein. This is just to give you a little bit of a context here. The egg has less protein than the steak, but 90% of it is bioacceptable by your body. So in reality, you have much less residue. Okay? The protein that you actually get from vegetables, for instance, you get less residue of it. So the egg has less than the steak, however, you absorb more of it. You have less residue of it. With the steak, however, you actually have more residue because you cannot actually absorb it all. That residue is actually identified with oxidative stress damage, okay, and free radical damage. We have a series called the gut connection that I'm encouraging you also to attend and to see, and we'll be developing those concepts more and more. And how is it that the cholesterol that the meat has is not the one rising your cholesterol, but rather that excess protein that is creating oxidative stress that is rising your cholesterol. So I invite you to that program too. So if you are a person that eats the meat, make sure it's lean, make sure it's organic, make sure it's grass-fed, make sure it comes from Australia. honestly, because the 98% of the meat in America is grain-fed. And you don't actually want to eat the grain secondhand, right? The 98% of the meat coming from Australia and New Zealand is grass-fed, okay? Friends, I don't eat it, but I don't live in La La Land either, okay? So if you are going to eat it, purchase Australian or New Zealand one, or if you got Canadian grass-fed one. And we are looking at a stack of carbs, no more than that. Anything more than that is going to create oxidative stress damage in you, and it's going to give you many more issues. Okay? So, we want to work on receptors of satisfaction. There is something called the limbic system. How many of you have heard of the limbic system? So, the limbic system is the one that says to you the following. You just ate dinner, and somebody comes in with popcorn. And the limbic system, you just had dinner, it says to you, just get one. Just one. How many of you can eat just one popcorn? Because you eat one, and just even on the way heading there, you know it's going to be the one, so you just grab a handful. And then you go again, and you go again, and you go again, because once you submit yourself to the limbic system, the next one is louder. Now you get another one. That's the limbic system. Okay? So, we need to satisfy the limbic system. The limbic system is the one that will give us a satisfaction feeling. And when that person is looking at that potato there rather than no potato at all, or is looking at that rice there rather than no rice at all, or is looking at that bread there rather than no bread at all, is satisfying the senses and satisfying the limbic system. When we're looking at a plate like that, that is full, is also satisfying the limbic system. I'm eating a full plate, just the same as we've seen on the screen there. Okay, I'm actually eating a full plate. It works on the limbic system for that type of sense. Okay, now small plates, small spoons, portion, portion, portion. Now, why small spoons? Because the limbic system knows you. He knows you very, very well. It is within you. So he knows that normally you start getting satisfied after X amount of lifts of your spoon or fork. Let's say, for the sake of argument, between 45 to 60. Okay? So when you start hitting 45, your limbic system starts feeling, aha, I had enough. Okay? It's counting the lifts of your hand to the mouth. Now you get a smaller spoon. What are you doing? You're tricking the counter. You are giving the limbic system the lifts. And it starts feeling satisfied. You say, okay, we're reaching 45. I should be feeling satisfied by now. Remember, one of the things that happened is that the satisfaction receptors get impaired over time, especially when we tend to eat a little bit more than what we should, etc. Okay? So with that, you're lifting it, and the limbic system says, had enough. Now, eat with the non-dominant hand. Why? Because your limbic system is just pleasure-seeking. And for pleasure, you are ready to actually involve yourself in giving an amount of energy, an amount of investment for the return. So, has this ever happened to you? You get home, you're very tired, and you go, oh, I'm hungry, but I just can't be bothered. So the limbic system is like, for the satisfaction that I'm going to get eating, I can't be bothered investing that time. You understand what I'm saying? I cannot bother investing that time. Let's say that you want to smoke a cigarette, which is involved in the limbic system. That gives the limbic system the pleasure, okay? So you are about to have a cigarette, and I get a gun, and I put the gun in here, and I said, if you lit up that cigarette, I'll blow your head off. Then the limbic system does a mathematical calculation very, very quickly. It says, all right, by the amount of satisfaction that I'm going to get, the type of investment that I'm actually putting in is not worth it. So it actually releases the desire of having a smoke. Now, when you're actually going to eat, the limbic system already has an allocated amount of energy that wants to invest for the satisfaction of eating. And as you're eating, that amount of energy that is available is being spent. When you use your non-dominant hand, you know the non-dominant hand, the one that your grandmother and mother used to hit you and saying, grab the spoon with the right hand, that hand. So the non-dominant hand, you are not as efficient with it. Guess what? You are not just involving an automatic system, you are actually involving now your thinking. You are actually spending much more energy, so that allocated energy, you're spending it quicker. So now you get a smaller portion that is full in the right proportions, and eating now with the smaller spoon with the non-dominant hand. And you don't have to do all those things at the same time. I'm just giving you extra things. And you're eating it like that. Chopsticks are great because the majority of the people are not very efficient with them. You know, I try, just to slow down to my son and my 14-year-old daughter, just to slow them down a little bit, I just play a game. Let's go to eat with chopsticks. And if they're really hungry, they won't finish the meal with chopsticks. They just go, they just get the fork or get the spoon and just, why? Because they realize, man, I'm running out of energy, I'm running out of the investment for the food, and I'm hungry. And I see I'm not going to finish. Okay? Now, there are many studies about the Japanese people and how, traditional Japanese people, and how they don't seem to be so overweight. I'm talking about traditional because nowadays the burger chain in Japan is actually more abundant per square meter than in the United States of America. But the traditional Japanese, the food, the studies were about the food. You know, they tend to eat that and they say, oh, well, they eat rice. Yeah, they eat rice in a very little bowl. They don't eat rice. So all cultures ate rice or grain, yeah, but within a context. And we actually never thought of the fact that Japanese people eat very small mouthfuls rather than you start eating big here, you will end up being big everywhere else. You eat small sizes, and you will actually, you're sending a message to your entire system. Everything starts harmonizing with the message that you're actually sending. Smaller bites. You'll notice if you had any siblings and one of your siblings was always skinny, the skinny type sibling, probably that sibling was the one that always finished last at the table. Everybody had finished, and that sibling was still there. But it was the skinny one. My daughter, I've got my 12-year-old daughter, she's almost as tall as, she's becoming as tall as my 14-year-old daughter. And she eats everything as if it was ice cream. You know, like you fill up your spoon with ice cream and you just go, you lick it, and then you go again, and then you go again, the same spoon, and then you go again, fill up with more ice cream, and you go like 3 times. She eats everything as if it was ice cream. She just goes on that and finds a pea and looks at it, inspects it, eats it. Then he gets mashed potato. Gets mashed potato. You're thinking, okay, she's going to eat it. No, she just go, one go, another go. She takes her time. She's the skinniest of all. She cannot put on weight. She actually eats very slow and very small mouthfuls. Is sending a message to the entire thing. If we just go, that's the message that we're sending everywhere else. Big spoons, big bodies. Small spoons, smaller bodies. Eat quick. What do we say to bodybuilders? Well, I don't say it, but I know it is in the bodybuilding field. What do bodybuilders have to do to put on weight faster? eat fast. The faster they eat, the quicker they gain the weight, because there is a satisfaction receptor here that needs 20 minutes to be activated. If you eat too quickly, you've just gone over the limit and you haven't even feel that you are satisfied. Eat slower. Eat with the left hand. Okay? Soups. Why soups? Why soups? Because when you dehydrate the soup, there's not much food there. Remember, we're talking within the context of weight loss. Okay? Soups actually give you the satisfaction receptors from the stretch receptors in your stomach. But in reality, there's not much there. Now, how are we going to eat the soup? We are going to put a lot of vegetables on that soup, because we still have to follow that ratio a little bit. Because we can make a soup in which is a lot of carbohydrates in that soup, and then we are going to use a few slices of bread for that soup. And what's happening there? What's happening when we are making a very high carbohydrate soup, and then we just get a few slices of bread into that soup? What are we saying? We are going off the protocol here, friends. We're just going into too much insulin, and in that case, even that soup can actually be a problem. Okay? Ginger tea in winter. Why? Because winter, especially if you are on a 10-14 protocol, some of the hours when you're not eating, especially if it's cold, you might feel a bit cooler. So winter has a warming effect in your body, plus appetite inhibitor. Okay? It also inhibits your appetite through those hours. So in winter, fresh ginger tea is very, very good. Stay away from soft drinks and juices. Why? Because of the sugar. Friends, there's actually people that lose weight without doing absolutely anything but removing all soft drinks and juices. They just remove the cola and they just remove all the fizzy drinks all throughout. That's the only thing that they do, and they lose weight. Because it's not the fact that those drinks have calories. Imagine is not true, but imagine that they don't have any calories whatsoever, and you drink it. You drink one of those big colas or whatever. You drink it. Let's imagine that has 0 calories. There's the switch here for storage fat. You drink that, the amount of glucose is so high, and the amount of release of insulin is so high that it just goes, boom, storage. Now, whatever you eat for the next 48 hours is being affected by that switch, by that cola or soft drink that you drank before. Even if that cola had no calories, it's affecting the absorption of your calories as fat for every other meal for the next 48 hours. And if it's sweetened with corn syrup, even worse. You following what I'm saying here? So, what about orange juice? Oh, that's not a cola, that's not a soft drink. Yeah, but I'm talking about the one that no added sugar. I'm talking about the one, from Valencia oranges, in the morning, right in the morning. I'm talking about, I've got an apple, and I just put it through the extractor there, and I just get, the pulp goes one side, the other apple goes. Apple juice, nice fresh apple juice. You want to lose weight? If you want to lose weight, that's what we're studying here in this seminar. If you want to lose weight, juices might not be the answer for you. You're going to swim against the current. You are swimming against the current. I'm talking about juices, period. I don't care where those juices come from and how many organic labels have in them. From the insulin point of view, they don't ask for the number plate. They just see, is it glucose? Yes. Okay, high, store it. Are you following? All right. You will eat what is in the house. True? Whatever is in the house, you will eat. I can't be bothered cooking. See what is in the pantry. Now, just think, just close your eyes, what is in your pantry? Normally things that keep very well. Potato chips, quick 2-minute pasta, 2-minute noodles, okay, boiled potatoes, biscuits, bickies, we call it bickies in Australia, biscuits, bickies, okay, bickies, things like that. Those things are in the pantry, right? When you don't feel like cooking, you will eat what is in the pantry. You following? Okay, now look at this one. Check your TSH levels. What on earth is that? Huh? Thyroid stimulating hormone. Is that a hormone of the thyroid? Yes or not? No, it's not a hormone of the thyroid. The brain sends that hormone, and the range is between 0.5 to about 5. Okay, and that marks a lot about your metabolism. So the TSH, so it's a hormone that stimulates the function of the thyroid. Okay, for the thyroid to release a hormone called thyroxine or T3. Okay, that comes the hormones again. Now, when your TSH levels are between 0.5 and about 1.5, the TSH is, the brain is saying this to your thyroid. Release T3. And the thyroid releases T3, which actually controls your metabolism, your body temperature, regulates your thermostat, regulates your cold hands or your hot hands, etc. Okay? Do you suffer from cold hands, cold feet? All right, well, a lot has to do with this fella here. Now, so that's when it's 0.5 to 1.5 is release some T3. Release some T3. Okay. When it is just about 2, the brain says the following, which is the TSH at 2 says the following. Release some T3. Release some T3. And your thyroid release some T3. When it's from 2.5 onwards, or higher than that, your brain starts saying it this way. Can you please, I'm saying it please, can you please release some T3? When it gets to 4, the brain is yelling out because somebody's sleeping. The thyroid is sleeping and controls your metabolism. That is called hypothyroidism. In other words, your thyroid is not functioning because it's under-functioning. The TSH is higher. That means that your thyroid is actually under-functioning. When your thyroid is under-functioning, your metabolism is very, very slow. And you need to actually accelerate it to actually be able to burn more fat. And there's actually a number of ways to do so, and because the thyroid needs a number of cofactors. One of the cofactors that it needs is zinc. There's another cofactor that it needs that is iron. In accordance to your TSH number, that will be the amount of iodine and zinc that you actually need. Okay, iodine and zinc that you actually need. They also use magnesium as a cofactor. So in accordance to the level of TSH that you have, that will be the type of magnesium that you need and the amount of magnesium that you need. They are cofactors. They are the spark plugs of your car. If everything is functioning but you don't have the spark plugs, you're not going anywhere. They're very, very little things. They just call cofactors. Very tiny little things. But if they are not in place in your engine, you're not going anywhere. Okay, so you got your iodine, you got your zinc, you got your magnesium. They are actually cofactors of that. Now, one of the things that iodine has is in the same group in the elements, the chemical elements, the same group as boron and the same group as fluoride. Okay, we use fluoride where? In the water? In the toothpaste? Okay. Now, when you eat something with iodine, and again, I'm not actually giving you how much of iodine you have to take and how much of zinc you have to take, because it's in accordance to your levels. And by doing that, I'll get into trouble because I'll be then prescribing figures, okay? But what I can say is the following. If you eat something, for instance, with iodine, the thyroid is so thirsty for iodine that iodine, in the majority of cases, will not even get to the stomach without having been absorbed already by the thyroid on the way through. Even through the saliva glands, by osmosis process, it will actually get to the thyroid. That's how thirsty the thyroid is on that. The problem is that iodine and fluoride, they are in the same group of elements. That means that they are craving or starving for the same electron groups in the last orbit of their composition. So when I'm actually having a lot of fluoride in my mouth or drinking a lot of fluoride with my water, the thirsty thyroid grabs what? Fluoride rather than iodine. The problem is that fluoride is not a proper spark plug for your thyroid. It's not firing up. Okay? Can you see what I'm saying? Okay. So there's actually ways to stimulate. The doctor will actually recommend thyroxine, which is an artificial synthetic T3, to stimulate that. In some cases, that's actually necessary, and without any personal consultation with me, that's as far as I'm able to share with you in regard to that, okay? Because we're dealing with supplements, we're dealing with medication, okay? But you need to actually check your TSH levels. Stress will make your thyroid either hypo or hyper, and that will affect your weight and your metabolism, okay? So stress will do that. A sedentary life will do that. One of the best ways to jumpstart the thyroid is the 2-minute workout that we mentioned in the previous lecture. Remember the 2-minute workout? So we're working on the metabolism in reverse. This is not working, so I don't feel like doing anything, so I'm going to be sedentary. I'm going to actually work in reverse. I'm going to work out and do a jump start to my thyroid. So that 2-minute workout stimulates the awakening of your thyroid too, okay? Besides a few other supplements that probably might be needed in some cases. You following? Okay. If possible, do not eat alone. I know that this is not always possible, but you tend to eat more moderately when somebody else is looking at you, right? Some people go to a potluck, they only serve themselves once. They're still hungry. If they were in the house, they will go again. But temperance, brother, temperance. If I get up and everybody sees me that I'm going there for seconds and I create another Tower of Babel here, you know, what are they going to say about me? So I actually hold back. Sometimes when we are our worst enemies, when we are eating by ourselves and nobody's looking. In some cases, it's not possible, okay? But it's obviously eating with someone else, it keeps you accountable, okay? So in fact, when you're doing this, make sure you got somebody doing it with you. Involve somebody else. And make sure that if you are going to start with this process, with the window that I talked to you about, with the hormones that we've been learning, with everything else, with cortisol and glucagon and everything else, all put together, the portion control, etc. Tell as many people as possible that you are on the journey to lose weight. Why? It's called accountability. Friends, if I'm marrying a woman, and I'm in front of that woman, and I'm telling that woman, I'll marry you, and I'll be looking after you, and when you're sick, I'll be there for you, and whatever, all those promises. And I know that she has 7 brothers. 4 of them are policemen. The other 3 are involved in martial arts. And one of them is doing cage fighting and all that. Now, I don't know if I will be able to fulfill the promise. But I'll tell you what, I'll be thinking twice before leaving her. Why? because I'm saying all those things in front of the brothers, right? It's called accountability. I always say to young people, if you're going to get married, involve everybody. Involve everybody. Tell everybody. Tell all the cousins. Tell as many in your family and in her family that you're getting married. Don't go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas only lasts 1 month and you divorce. Why? So easy. Nobody knows about it. No accountability. Tell everybody. Tell grandma. Tell it to grandma. Tell it to everybody. Tell people that you've gone to a seminar and you are implementing something. And if you explain to them the concepts, get them to watch the program, and you say, will you do it with me? And tell it to as many people. Tell people at work. They will respect you more when they come to you with the donut and say, oh, sorry, I forgot. You were trying this. Yes, thank you. If they don't know about it, they bring you the donut, and if you eat it, you will eat it because at the end of the day, they don't know about it, so they don't know that I'm breaking anything. So tell as many people as possible. Does that make sense? Okay. Pack away oversized clothes. Now, I normally fluctuate between 74 kilos and 78 kilos. That's what I fluctuate depending on time and season and etc. If I get to 82 kilos, 80 to 82 kilos, friends, I need to get out of the house in pajamas because I do not have any clothes that fit me that will also fit me if I'm 80 or 82. There are many people, I don't know the sizes here in your country, but in Australia, the sizes, you can go from like, for a very tiny woman, size 8, and then like say size 22, okay? And there's people that have like size 10 and size 20 all in the same wardrobe. So I lose weight, I can fit into those jeans. I gain weight, I leave the jeans hanging in there for another occasion when I just wake up one morning and decide that I want to lose weight. And I just go to size 14 and then size 15. The clothes need to be your accountability. You following? I had a lady, maybe she will watch this program, but it was beautiful to see. She had diabetes. And she was losing weight very nicely with the protocol, and she came to see me, and we fine-tuned some of the things that she was doing, and she was losing weight, and she was actually packing away every size that she was actually moving from. She packed away size 20, packed away a few boxes, and she was from Africa. She lives in Australia, but she had all the family in Africa. So she said to me, what a feeling, Oscar. I've got boxes there of clothes. We're going in Christmas, we're going to see the family. I'm taking all the boxes with me. There's a lot of people that need it over there. I don't need it anymore. What a feeling. Just to go, there you go, you can have my clothes, good quality clothes. It's just I don't fit in them anymore. Okay? And she did it progressively. She did it very nicely, okay? And she packed away. She could not find clothes. Those boxes were packed away, sealed, and put in the back shed. In the garden shed, that's where the boxes were for months. So either she fits in what she has or she does something about it. Rather than, I'll just go over the next size. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay. Place realistic goals. This is very, very important. I had a gentleman, he was 130 kilos or so, and I said to him, so how heavy do you want to be? And he goes, about 75. Well, that's a big shot. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but that was a big shot for 130 kilos. The guy was 56 years of age. That's even a greater distance. But then I asked him the question, okay, all right, fair enough. When was the last time that you were 75? When I was in high school. Maybe it's not that realistic. So to go from, I'll use Canadian, I'll use an American distance, okay? Because probably everybody knows about it. Los Angeles to New York. To go from Los Angeles to New York by the Highway 66, you don't do it in one hit. you stopped in the middle, just go through whichever, past Arizona, and you stop in Phoenix, and you stay there, and you enjoy a little bit of the view, and then you move to the next one, and then you move to the next one, until you get to New York, right? So you want to go to New York, fine, but you just get scenery in between. What am I saying? If you need to lose 20 kilos, don't look at the 20 kilos, just look at the first 5. Okay, you go to the first 5, you breathe in, breathe out, you go to another first 5. And your body, the good thing is that with the protocol that we've just been sharing with you through this seminar, your body will auto-regulate itself. It's not that you're going to continue lose weight until you disappear. Your body will stop when you had found your weight. Okay? Stand up after eating. That's very, very important. You eat to stand up. We mentioned that about metabolism. Okay? About your metabolism. And remember, love yourself. That is very, very important. My wife had 3 children. When she was, before she had the children, I'll say to her, "You're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful Chilean in Victoria." And she goes, "There's not many Chileans in Victoria." And so, "Okay, well, you're the most beautiful Chilean, even including the Chileans in Chile." And okay. Then she gained a little bit of weight. And I said, "Oh, you're so beautiful." And then she felt pregnant, okay? And obviously, she delivered the baby, and she kept the weight for about 9 months. And I said, "Oh, you're so beautiful." And said, "Oh, come on. That cannot be true. You can't tell me that I'm beautiful when I'm skinny. You cannot tell me when I got extra kilos here that I'm beautiful. You can't tell. It's impossible." That's in the mind of a woman, see? It's impossible. You're lying to me. You're one of those Latin lovers, they're just chanting with your mouth. And said, "Honestly, you're beautiful." And I said that to a friend of mine. He had problems with his wife because the wife was not losing weight. I said, "Because you are not telling her that she is beautiful. You tell your wife that she is beautiful, you release the pressure. You release the pressure. You tell your wife, you're beautiful. As you are, you're beautiful." I used to get my wife's tummy. If she hears this, she's going to hate me. All right. I used to get her tummy when she had a little bit of extra chocolate mousse around here. And I'll say, "Oh, I like it. I like it. It's just like making bread, And say, "Oh, stop it." I say, "I like it." I said, "No, you don't." I said, "I do. It's just beautiful." Okay? Nowadays, my wife is super fit. By the way, after the pregnancies and so on, she did lose that weight. She does triathlon training and so on. She's super fit. But she's, in fact, more fit than me. But she's still beautiful now as she was before. And I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. Okay? She's a beautiful person and a beautiful individual. And the good thing is that, she provides for me all. When she gained weight, she provided for me a wife that gave me the experience of a wife that had more weight. Then gave me the experience of a wife that had less weight. She has given me all the experiences. As Paul Newman said, "Why would I go out and eat a burger when I have a T-bone in the house?" Right? So she provides everything. So make sure that you love yourself. Okay? There's many baggage that we carry, especially with the weight. Make sure you love yourself. Okay? And accept yourself as you are. Remove the pressure. Enjoy the trip. Enjoy the ride. Thank you very much for your attendance. It has been a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to get to know you. Thank you.